US troops have been present in Germany for decades, so have UK troops. I mean, why your petition, Christoph, always now? I know you're a very busy man, but shouldn't it have been a bit sooner?
Yeah, of course. This is a very good word to say. The problem being that in the past, the people were not ready in large numbers to tell those troops to go home. And now I think there's a time where even, the center of the bourgeois people in Germany, they notice that we have a crisis with Russia going on after, of course, the demise of the Soviet Union. And this is the first time within 25 years that they know something is going deeply wrong. And I am trying to use this idea, which is being, reinforced in the minds of the people every day, because the crisis is going on, the NATO is ever more aggressive, and Mrs. Merkel is not going against it, that they may be induced in larger numbers to sign. And this is what we see here right now.
Are the authorities going to listen to you, Christoph?
Not at all. The authorities, this we have to state, very simply, very clear, and very bad as it is, the authorities are not listened to. 250,000 people, 250,000 people who have crowded Berlin 9 days ago in order to demonstrate against these terrible law-breaking contracts called TTIP, TISA, etc. And on the same weekend, the Social Democrat Minister for Economics, Mr. Gabriel, who is also the head of the party, publicly said, well, we have to continue with those negotiations. These are secret negotiations, by the way, and nobody knows about them. And this is the way how we keep in touch with the time and the kind of modernization of trade. This was the wording. And in fact, that means these people are not going to listen. But what happens here is that at the same time, people are calling for resistance against the government based on Article 20, Chapter 4 of our Constitution, or whatever stands for a constitution in poor Germany right now. And that is very important, that we get the right by our action to resist, because the government is not listening. So that the government isn't listening is known to every one of these signees. And
Christoph, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the United States has forces, is it in 150 countries now?
Yeah, it's in 156 countries, including their own. And it's in more than, 800 bases. And this is their habit, It's very hard to break a bad habit. In this case, it is very necessary that they see the numbers coming in and that they see how the people protest. What is the commentary? And these commentaries are very clear and very open. Germany does not want to be drawn into another armed conflict. And more Germans are conscious, of course, that the U.S. are using the Ramstein base and, in fact, lately also the Leipzig base to indulge in wars abroad. And by international law, Germany is immediately, with the first flight of bombers, a participant, a party to that war, which the U.S. is fighting somewhere else. And that is, of course, a situation we can no longer tolerate, very clearly.
Christoph, I believe they crept into Holland as well, didn't they, recently?
You see, the U.S., they are going any place. They are directing drones the world over from Ramstein base. They are, implementing their aggressive military policies in 124 countries worldwide, from Stuttgart in Germany, where they have their commando structures. That is for the European Command, EUCOM, for the African Command, AFRICOM, and for Central Command, including, interestingly, Afghanistan, CENTCOM. These three command structures are based, all the three of them, in Stuttgart. And it's a crazy idea for the Germans after Second World War that they should now indulge in warfare and military policies in 124 countries. Adolf Hitler dreamed of that, I think.
Christoph, US Defense Secretary Carter recently said, didn't she, that American troops in Europe are, let me try and quote her, was it deterring aggression? I mean, we know there's been a lot of talk in Western and European media about, aggressive Russia. I mean, looking at the people on the streets of Germany, and I mean, people around you, do you feel threatened by Moscow,
Yeah, you see, we get all these kinds of arguments by certain people that they say, well, if the American troops had not been in Germany, we would have been Soviet by now. And I tell you something very, very radical. I say, so what would be wrong with it being Soviet? Looking what America has done with the globe after the demise of the Soviet Union, and I was part of that effort. I was in Afghanistan. I supported the Mujahideen. I was in war. I have experienced all that. And after this experience, I can say I did no good, very, very clearly. And what is being done right now is that a peaceful, a really, disarming Russia has faced an aggressive NATO, not keeping any of their, promises they made towards Mr. Gorbachev about the situation in Europe. They were approaching the Russian borders day by day, and now they have destabilized Ukraine. They have spent billions of dollars to destabilize this country and stage 2 putches over there. And now the people of Donbass are suffering from that. They are entering into the Black Sea with the NATO fleet. This is a very, very bad sign. And the latest was something which really shocked me. That was armed German bombers are flying missions alongside the Russian border. This is a clear-cut aggression. So, in fact, it is Russia which has to be afraid of NATO and make sure that they can defend themselves. And fortunately, you've got a president who knows this, who is arming your country against this. And in fact, the interest of the Germans and the Europeans, the true interest, has changed. The true interest of Germany and Europe is a strong Russia, contradicting and challenging the U.S. Otherwise, we will end up as slaves. That's the situation we have.
And looking into your crystal ball, Christoph, when do you think we could ever see a thaw in relations between Moscow and Washington?
Well, the thaw of relations comes from the barrels of guns. If Russia is so strong that the U.S. and their hawks, who are trying now to, replace Obama by a more hawkish president next time, if they see that whatever they do, the world will grow more hostile to them, including, in fact, a kind of disregard by Germans and Europeans like me. In this case, they will feel indulged to, come to their senses. And this is my great hope. I like America. I have American friends, lovely people, no need to be in trouble with them. And I think after a while, they may just see it.
I think it would be interesting to just look at America itself, as you started to look at just then, whereby, I mean, there are people, obviously, who are making a lot of money out of these wars, these conflicts. But on the other hand, there are a lot of people who just don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, this, of course, the situation is growing worse. The official big media, according to the official American military strategy, this paper called Joint Vision 2020, which time and again I recommend in these interviews, it officially says that NATO, that America is at war. It is a war against terrorism. And all NGOs, institutions, and interestingly, the media are included into this war effort. And this is the reason why nobody in the world, including Americans, Germans, and Europeans, and of course the Russians, should not wonder why we have this kind of hardcore establishment of liar media. They see themselves, according to the official American doctrine, as part of the war. And that is very interesting, and that is this great construction which George W. Bush has left as a heritage to the world, his permanent war effort.
Yes, permanent war effort. Yes, that's a good choice of words, Christoph. And then, of course, the other day we learnt about the drones that the United States are also using. And, I mean, it seems that some people are earning millions through making these drones.
Yeah, the earnings of a permanent war are, of course, much higher than if you have a peace in between, you know. So I think this industry just decided permanent war is the best for us. And this is something those countries, the populations, will have to break. This idea that, you know, parts of the industry are relying on an idea, on a doctrine, in fact, of permanent war to generate a permanent surplus income. This has to be finished very, very quickly. And this is part of our petition that we tell the people what we want to do is that we give a peace signal from Germany, including, you know, the foreign signees. And these are numbering over 3,000 right now. It's in surplus to what the Germans say. And that is a good sign for the Americans. We want to internationalize this petition, in fact, and give others the idea to start their own in other countries. This is something that we want to do now.
Ah, so you want it to leave Germany and go to, say, where?
Well, what I will do after this interview and linking your article and this interview on your website, I will turn to my American friends, to British friends, French friends, Italian friends, and tell them, publish this. Think of your own petition or just translate the one we've got. And then go ahead. Because asking the Americans to withdraw from Germany is central to any kind of peaceful solution of the European-Russian problem.